Hey there, good friends. Welcome, new subscribers. I'm Brian from Apex Detail. In the very last video, we showcased the Marl X pressure sprayers and pressure foamers. And by the way they're slapped together and the way they perform, they're going to be a hot item here in the States. However, distribution is a little slow to get up and running. So, in the meantime, I will put a link down and pin it in the comments section for contact to our neighbors just north of us here that will ship them and get them to you. In today's video, we're going to remove some scratching and etching on the windscreen and glass from the wipers. If they're light surface scratches and very light etching, I'll go after them. Anything deeper than that, it's going to be a referral to glass or windshield replacement. You have to remember a windshield in particular is layered, it's laminated. And you don't want to go polishing too far. You also want to keep the heat down, and you also want to finish out so there's no hazing on the outside. Let's get to it and get this windscreen repaired and protected. Okay, today we're working on an Audi Q5 where the wipers were run for a period of time where the blade was just too thin, and you can see a groove that is starting to be worn right in the path of the driver. Visible outside, but even more visible and annoying from the inside as well. On the borderline of what I would go after and repair, but having some tools laying around where I can get in there and look up close, see how deep the etching is. We've decided to go after and see if we can remove and correct the etching on the glass and then lay down a superior line of protection for it. We're working on the outboard light or the outboard layer on a multi-layer laminate windshield. Here you can see up close the bonded contaminants and also the gouges from the scratch itself blown up. I just wanted to see some of the deeper areas just to make sure it wasn't too deep before getting into the project. The layers of the common modern windshield are the exterior or outboard light or outboard layer. You got the PVB inner layer, that is the plastic laminate that has the pigment for tinting and also heat resistant. And then you have the inboard layer or the inboard light. That's the inside portion of the glass. First things first, preparation as always. It needs to be cleaned. The car hasn't been washed. I'm going to be taking care of the outside of the car after this project here is finished. So I'm going to use my favorite window cleaner, follow that up with the auto scrub system to remove some of those bonded contaminants we viewed through the microscope. All right, what are we going to need for this? Well, the rotary for the heavy lifting or the major cutting, the CarPro Rayon glass polishing pads. Here is two other versions of wool and also foam. And I'm also going to go with the Meguiar's water spot remover, which is a great place to start. It is a glass polish. It will remove hard water deposits, but minor etching in glass and windshields as well. Always start with the least aggressive method necessary. That's where we're going to start. If you need to, there are also dedicated glass cutting compounds that you could use, a little bit more aggressive. No need. If you have heavy compound laying around, you can use that as well. The abrasives just don't hold up quite as long, so you're going to go through more of the product. But if that's what you have and you're in a pinch, you can absolutely use it. Low RPM and slower arm movements, or if you're going to crank up that polisher, which I know some of you guys can help, no big deal, then just move your arm speed a little bit faster. You don't want to put a nice, you don't want to spotlight heat in one area on the windshield where the rest of it's room temperature and you spike the small area up to 140 degrees. That's where you can warp the PVB inner layer, and then the image through the windshield will get distorted. Patience is going to be a key factor when removing imperfections from glass. It's very stubborn to begin with. And again, you don't want to go overly aggressive. So when you have a combination of the right pads and the right fluids and a little bit of patience, you're going to be successful. So do a pass or two, remove the fluid or the compound of the polish, and come in and take a look at your progression. And as you see here, the top portion of the windshield, it's correcting just fine. We just have to finish down towards the wipers. All right, now we're going to switch over to the CarPro Rayon Pad. It's a bit more aggressive, and if you're going to use that pad, be prepared to. You're going to need to step down to get rid of a little bit of hazing you could leave on the windshield. So have some of those products nearby within arm's reach, and you'll be just fine. Again, with this pad, if you're going to have slow arm movement and have patience. Keep the speed of the polisher down to keep the temperatures from spiking. And this cuts a little bit faster than the other two pads I showed you. I have the polisher speed setting at speed number 2, the second speed setting on this polisher here. Doesn't matter what polisher you use. You can use a long throw polisher. It's going to take forever. A rotary is perfect, but keep the pad flat. Don't tilt the pad or the polisher. You're going to make grooves and you're going to distort the vision or the line of sight through the windshield. We have it removed now, so there's a little bit of hazing. Very hard to pick up. You'd have to pull out into the sunlight to see it, but you want to step down. So I'm going to switch to a foam cutting pad, which would be like a polishing pad for glass. You could keep using the Meguiar's, or you could use something like this. This is just a polish from Meguiar's, a very fine abrasive. Could take you a little bit longer with something like this, but it will work. You just, again, have to have a little bit of patience. When stepping down, the area of polishing is going to get larger and larger to blend, and we're also going to be polishing perpendicular to the way we polished in the first step. And for the very last step, I'm going to take a long throw polisher and a microfiber pad and use a cleaner polish, and I'm going to polish the whole windshield. This is going to prepare it for the next step, which is going to be long-term protection. We're going to use a semi-permanent coating, and that's going to be from Glass Parency. I have a dedicated video on the Glass Parency kit. I use it most often in my higher end packages. And you do need to be certified through them to be an installer, but it's not difficult. And even if you're just starting out, I would truly look into it. I'm going to put a link down below. And just a quick overview of the kit itself. They have a cleanser, that's going to be step 1. It's just like the consistency and the smell of toothpaste. Put it on your scrub pad. Make sure the window is still wet after washing it or cleaning it. And this opens and scrubs out and cleans the pores. Up close, a windshield, just like your clear coat, is very porous, and that's how the dirt finds areas to cling to and bond to the windshield. The next portion of the installation has two steps, step A and B. Step A is the base layer or the primer layer, fills in the pores of the windshield and prepares for the second layer, and together that's what makes your semi-permanent durable coating. I really enjoy the coating myself on my vehicles with the vision that I have. Cuts down glare at nighttime. When it starts to pour, 20 miles per hour, you can turn the wipers back off. The rain just flies right up over top of the roof. Very durable, self-cleaning, easy to keep clean as it has anti-static properties. Dust won't cling to it, and any harsh weather you come upon, it's going to blast and bounce right off of the windshield. Make sure the entire windshield has been layered with step A or the base layer, and let that dwell for no less than 1 full minute. Step B is an exact repeat of the first step. Both of these are little moist towelettes that have been soaking in the solution in the coating inside a foil pack. Rip open the pack, pull out the foil, unfold it, and make sure you get a nice even layer on the full length of the windscreen. In the controlled environment of the shop here, I'll let that sit for about 5 minutes. Sometimes I get distracted with customers and all that, and I leave it there sometimes longer. But I'll come back with two towels. One will be damp, wrung out completely, not dripping wet, and I'll lightly lay that on the windshield and drag it across, and that will pick up a huge chunk of the residue that's left over without pulling the coating off the windshield. Very lightly. I'm going to follow that up with the dry microfiber and buff to perfection. User-friendly, no effort whatsoever, and cure time, I'm going to let sit overnight. Even with the second dry microfiber, not a lot of pressure. I don't want to pull any of the coating off the window. I just want to get the residue and any streaking, very little that's left behind, and get this perfectly clear for the driver. And there you have it. As simple as that, the etching in front of the line of sight from the driver is gone. It's protected, it's cured, it's ready to head out and protect it from whatever Mother Nature has to dish up. Okay, good friends, that's going to do it for today's video. If you have any questions on the process or anything we used today, don't hesitate. Remember, if the etching or the scratching is too deep, catches a fingernail, just refer them to glass replacement. Windscreen in particular is going to be laminated. It's going to be layered. You're going to have the inside section with a film that is both heat resistant and also adds a little bit of pigment for some tint. And although a windscreen can get high in temperature out in the weather, in your environment, remember it's the whole windscreen. When you're polishing, a windscreen is just normal room temperature, and then your polishing area can spike up to about 150 degrees or so. And that's where you want to run into problems with distortion of the film and the layers in between. Until the next video, guys, have a great day. Love you all. Appreciate the support for the channel. Catch you next time.